So where'd you grow up?
Big Fort, Montana.
Yeah. What did your folks do over there?
Well, my dad was a logger, and he had a truck driver, and my mom just worked different jobs.
Yeah. Did you have any siblings over there?
I have one sister, Doris.
What brought them to Big Fork?
What brought them to Big
Yeah.
Fork? His parents came. They all lived in Minnesota. His parents came to Big Fork, in the Big Fork area, and then he kind of followed them. And then they all went back to Minnesota, and then my dad got married in Minnesota, and they all moved back to Big Fork.
A little back and forth there,
Yeah,
huh?
it was.
So where did the family come before they were in the States?
England,
English?
Germany, yeah.
Yeah, so what was your childhood like up in Big Fork? It's a little wetter over there than here.
Oh yeah, it was. We lived in a little town 3 miles south of Big Fork. It was Ferndale, Montana. And that's where I went to school, grade school was in Ferndale. Well, I started in Kalispell when I was in the first grade. And then they moved to Big Fork. And my dad worked up at Swan Lake for the millionaires from Butte. That's what they did for a while. And then he got into the logging business. And that was about it, I guess. I went to school at Ferndale. I graduated from Big Fork in 1953.
So what in the world ever made you move from the green valley of Big Fork to the dry old Hinsdale?
Well, Lloyd's sister Dorothy came to Big Fork to live with an aunt when we were freshmen. And her and I were very good friends when we were freshmen. And then she moved back to Hinsdale, and we wrote back and forth letters for 3 years. When she graduated from high school, she said, "Evelyn, come over for my graduation." So I trotted over to the graduation, and that's when I met Lloyd, at the graduation.
You must have been a pretty smooth talker to
Yeah.
get you over here.
Well,
huh?
no, she told me, she said, "Evelyn, Lloyd has a girlfriend, so you're not dating him." I said, "Oh, really?" And then I stayed for just a few days, and then I went back, and he came over to Kalispell. I came back over to Hinsdale for a couple times. He came over back to Kalispell the 4th of July. He was working at Tiber Dam, and he came over to Kalispell for the 4th of July. The 31st of July, I came over here. I was over here. And he gave me a diamond, and we got married on the 26th of September.
There you go.
4 months. We traveled back and forth.
That other girlfriend evidently didn't put up much of a fight.
No, evidently.
So what was early married life like?
Well,
I'm assuming he wasn't on the ranch at that time if he was doing Tiber Dam.
It was quite different for me. I was 17 years old. We moved north of Hinsdale
Well, tell them whose place you were on, or
at Henry Lick's place. And we worked there for a while. Then we moved to Melvin Jensen's place. And we stayed there for a while and worked there. And Agnes and Johnny were up there, so we had company. We had lots of fun up there, you know. There was a lot of people up there, and we played cards and did all kinds of things. But it was very different, but I loved it. I was never homesick a day of my life, ever.
Well, that's pretty impressive.
Never. And I've said, I have a plaque. It says you can love the mountains, but it takes soul to love the prairie.
There you go. So where did you raise the kids then? Were you up north at that point?
Debbie was born up north. And then we moved to the Portine place, and then we worked for Portines. Then we moved back over to Kalispell, Lloyd and I, or to Big Fork, and Lloyd worked for my dad. And we were just there about 2 years. We moved back to Hinsdale, and Lori was, and Mike and Chuck were all born in Hinsdale. So that was, and you know, many times when I'd get mad, I'd say to Lloyd, should have stayed on my own side of the mountain.
Mike might have preferred that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you were the son of a logger, so I'm guessing when you grew up in Big Fork, you grew up actually in town then? Or were you guys kind of
Well,
outside
in
of town?
Ferndale, it was a
Yeah.
little town.
Yeah.
Tell them about your grandparents' property there in Ferndale on the water.
Oh, my grandparents owned a place right, and when you come down the street of Big Fork, there was a place right down there, right on the water that my grandparents owned.
Oh, wow.
Right on the water of the bay. Yeah.
You couldn't go by that anymore.
Oh, no. And we used to, in the springtime when we were in high school, it was, the thing was, who could swim in the bay first? When the ice went up.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, we waited for the ice, and then who could get in there and swim first. Yeah. And we did, another thing we did was dig for buffalo, or what do I want to say, shells.
Seashells?
No. Well, what are they? Yeah.
They're just like clams and mussels or something? Or?
Oh,
Oh,
with
arrowheads?
the arrowheads, that's what I'm
Oh,
trying
okay.
to say, yeah.
Over there
We
you
did a
did?
lot of arrowhead hunting.
On
We did.
Flathead, yeah.
Yeah.
Flathead Indians.
Yeah.
Like actually on the lakeside or?
Yes,
Oh.
yes, yeah.
They must have sat on the lake while they were chipping at them, huh?
Yeah, right down there in the bay, we did. And when I first came to Hinsdale and saw Milk River, I said, you mean you swim in that?
I question it sometimes too. I've seen a few cows in there.
Oh, you couldn't see the bottom. You're flathead,
You
you
can't
can
see
see the
it
bottom.
6 inches into the water.
Oh, I know it. I couldn't believe it. And I never did swim. I never been in the Milk River, except I guess I went skiing once. That was it.
Were there big community differences between, you know, growing up in the mountains versus out here on the prairie? Were the people quite a bit different?
Not really. You know, we all played cards. We went to dances. Not a lot.
What were the popular card games?
Well, over there we played pinochle. That was probably the most popular one. Of course, here it's pinochle, whist, and
Probably a little cribbage.
and cribbage. Oh yeah, they played cribbage. Oh no, you know, I never saw anybody play cribbage there. I never saw my dad or anyone. But pinochle was a big game there. Yeah.
What was the home like growing up? As I'm sure that the household has changed a little bit over the years.
Well, we moved around a little bit. We did move around, like we were in Kalispell, we were in Swan Lake, we were in Ferndale. We lived in Pasco, Washington for a while.
Oh, really?
My dad did construction work before he became a logger. And we lived in Pasco, Washington. And I guess that's, and then back to Ferndale.
You spent a lot of time with your grandparents.
Yes, oh yeah, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents.
With both sides or
No,
dads?
just
or?
my weed, the
Just the
weed
weeds?
side. Yes. Because when Mother and Dad worked up at the Millionaires, they couldn't take children, so I stayed with Grandpa and Grandma. And then when we lived in Pasco, it was really time for me to start school. So they brought me back to Ferndale and I started school. My parents stayed there until they came in the winter time. So I spent a lot of time with my grandparents.
What were holidays like growing up? Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter?
Oh, it was with our grandparents all the time. Yeah, we had just the grandparents mostly and us. And one year, my grandpa and grandma went to Minnesota to be with their family there. Oh, my sister and I were devastated. We didn't have grandpa and grandma. Yeah.
What would a typical Christmas look like?
Oh, big tree. We went out and got the tree. And one year, we went out to get the Christmas tree, my grandfather and I. And we were up there, and I don't know how this happened, but all at once, I was leaning over like this, and he put the axe down, and about the time I leaned over and got me right on the head.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness, he just about had it, yeah.
Oh.
But we always had big Christmas trees, we always had big dinners, lots of neat gifts. Got a little puppy one year for Christmas, which we really enjoyed. Yeah, it was always a big Christmas and Thanksgiving. Not with a lot of other people, just us. Yeah.
Who was the best cook in your family growing up?
Well, probably my mother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was there any meals or dishes in particular that were your favorite?
Oh, let's see. We always had. Well, of course, we had apple trees, cherry trees, raspberries, strawberries, right there. So
That's a little more rare on this side.
yeah, we had strawberry dessert was probably our favorite. Yeah, it probably was. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any pets or horses growing up?
Oh yes, we had pets. We had one time we had a coyote.
Oh, really?
We had a little coyote, and I don't really remember what happened to it, but we had it on a leash. And then we had dogs. I had a pinto horse, and one day I took the horse out and it bucked, so I told my dad, I said, Dad, that horse almost bucked me off. He said, oh, that horse not buck. So he said, I'll ride it. So he got on, that horse bucked him right off. And I wanted to laugh, but I didn't. Man, I'll tell you, that horse got a riding, let me tell you. And then I got, one time when we were riding horse, I scraped my leg on the telephone pole when I went by, and I had to go in and have stitches taken. So I did the stitches, and then, just a few days later, I went fishing. And as I was climbing up the hill, I tore all the stitches out. I'm just sore. So we went back in and they tried to do what they could for it. And it was getting worse and worse and worse. And my aunt, who was a nurse, came from Oklahoma. And she said to my mother, she said, you have to get that child to the doctor. It was gray and it smelled. And when I got there, we had a different doctor. He said, he told my parents, I don't know if I can save that leg. And they called Missoula and they flew medicine in for that leg.
Well, that was
That
very
was
lucky.
Yeah, that was very lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I was, I must have been a freshman, eighth grader. We were walking the rail fence. My dad came out and he said, you get off that fence, you're gonna fall. So we went back in the house. We got back on the fence and I fell. And I hit like this and popped that bone up through my arm. 2 weeks I was in the hospital. It was crazy. They were trying to pull the bone down with weights. They put weights on it. And the Catholic nuns would walk me around and around to pull that down. Well, they couldn't do it. So finally they operated on it. And I remember it cost $500. And then my parents paid for that for a long, long time.
That was quite a chunk of money back in the day.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So that was, but I didn't mind all the time.
So were your parents still in the Big Fork area when your kids were growing up? Did you get to take them over there for visits?
Well, they were separated. My parents separated. My dad died when he was 63, but the kids knew him. We went over there and they rode in the logging truck with
Your grandparent, I was there when, I was on the property when her grandparents had that on Flathead Lake.
Oh, so you
owned-
got to know your great grandparents.
Well, they owned it till 1970 or 71 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your parents separated, and then your dad died.
He died in 63, and then Mother came over here My dad died when he was 63 years
Yeah,
old.
yeah.
When he was 63, not
And
in
Mom
19.
lived there for a while, and then she came over here and lived.
So how old were you when your grandmother moved over here, Mike?
Oh, God, she was over 87, wasn't it?
I think so.
So I'd have been 25 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And she lived till she was 95.
So she had a good amount of time over here on the
Yeah,
prairie.
she did, yeah.
Did she adapt to it as well as you did?
I think so, yeah. She did pretty well. She lived in the fourplex and then she went to New York. Yeah.
No, I remember I got a video of when you guys did the history quilt and
Oh,
she did a couple of the squares. That was kind of fun to
yeah,
see.
she did, yeah, yeah.
So was that through the women's club at that time?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. What was that group like? Was it kind of meant to just women supporting each other, or?
Yeah, they did a lot of things for the community and they worked together and, yeah. We had meetings and, yeah, it was just to get together and have a good time, yeah.
Who all was part of that club?
Who was part,
Yeah, who all was in the women's club?
who was in it?
Yeah.
Oh, Auga Court, let's see, Mother and I, and who else would have been in it?
I'm guessing Edry McCauley was probably in there.
Macaulay,
If I know Edry, she was probably bossing a few of you around.
yeah. Gosh, isn't that terrible? I can remember. I can remember. Was your mother ever in it?
Not my mother. My grandmother maybe, but I couldn't say when did they stop doing the women's club? I know they did it at least through the 70s, but I don't know
Yeah,
much beyond
yeah,
that.
probably, but that was about it. Yeah, it just kind of ended. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know when.
How'd you get along with your in-laws?
Good,
Good.
good. Yeah, I got along pretty good with her. Yeah. And, well, of course, I was the only daughter-in-law, you know, from all around, so, yeah. No, Agnes was a godsend when I lived up north, because she lived up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, they were a lot of fun, yeah. We had a lot of fun up north, you know, the Arnolds and we all played cards and we all came to town and went to dances and, yeah, it was fun up there. I enjoyed it, you know.
Yeah, you guys are having a little Gosh family reunion out here, but
Yeah,
Mike, maybe you could help us with this. Could you give me just a little breakdown of how the family tree works on your dad's side? Because I know that the Portines kind of got a couple different branches there.
Well, are you interested in the Garsh part of it, you mean?
Well, just your family. It doesn't have to be specific to the reunion here, just because your grandmother was married before and then he
Yeah.
passed away, right?
But she was a Garsh, though.
Okay.
She wasn't, Marion Portine was a Garsh, Katie Ellsworth was a Garsh, the two that lived here anyway,
Yeah.
and then there was a couple boys, and, yeah, I don't know,
Pete and Bucky.
Pete and Bucky, and then, yeah, and,
And Sherry, Marion's sister,
Danette.
lived in North Dakota.
yeah.
Yeah, Danette lived in California.
Yeah, but
Mother knows the history of Dad's side of the family quite well too, though,
Yeah.
she understands all that, more than I do.
yeah, but I mean, kind of just your dad and his siblings, because you grew up on the Portine place. You're running the Portine place, but
I didn't, yeah.
but Johnny Portine was your dad's.
Stepdad,
Stepdad.
yes. Yeah,
So who was the?
I wasn't ever raised out there, you know, and, but then Grandpa died in 1990, and then I moved out there and rented it from Grandma for 10 years, and then when she passed away in around 2000,
Yeah,
the three girls, the 14 girls actually inherited the place,
Oh, okay.
and then they sold it to me.
Okay. So, of all of them, who was the oldest? Because your dad was from
Well,
the
Agnes
first.
was the oldest.
So it's Agnes, and then is it
Lloyd, and then this Dorothy that Mother met.
Okay.
And then they had, of course, when they remarried, they both remarried back into the community. Grandma married Johnny, and Harvey married Leora Lund. And
Oh,
then,
they divorced. He didn't pass.
No, they divorced, yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
And so
get into
Joanne
that.
Jones
Okay.
is a half brother too to Harvey or to Lloyd and Dorothy and Agnes. And then they got the half sisters of Opal, Joanne, and Elma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Lloyd had 6 sisters.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, no brothers, yeah.
yeah, no brothers.
And my understanding is he kind of sounds like he didn't stick around the home place a whole lot in his childhood.
No,
Kinda
well,
got-
his grandfather had a ranch up here, and so he was raised on that a lot. When he worked a lot on that. He grew up working on his grandfather's ranch, actually, a lot in the summer and stuff. And then he was about, I think about 15 when they actually divorced, and then
Yeah,
Marion moved on to, like Dad said, she moved on to, and Dorothy was only 13 or whatever, 12.
12, no.
Agnes got married when she was 15 or.
yeah.
So she got married, but like, I remember my dad saying, well, I said, couldn't you have went with your mother? Well, we didn't want to go to Fort Peck. He said we wanted to stay in Hinsdale. So that's why they kind of stayed here and lived different places and went to high school. And Dorothy lived in different places in Hinsdale and went to high school too. Not with Harvey and Leora though. Different aunts and uncles. And,
Gotcha.
And Lloyd wasn't going to high school,
Okay.
but Roy Hillman,
Mm-hmm.
Rex Daly, and Bob McElvain came out to the field where he was working and begged him to come back to school, to go
he
to
missed the
school.
first 2 weeks of
Yeah,
freshman
he
year, I
missed the
think it
first
was.
2 weeks. And Bob McElvain, who was his uncle, said, Lloyd, you have a home with us as long as you want. And so he came back, graduated from high school. Yeah, so that was good.
Yeah, that was probably a good thing.
Yeah,
He-
it was. It was a really good thing. Yeah. He was a very good basketball player, so they tell me. He could pass a ball without looking. And they were always laughing and said he played with Jack Jensen, who was tall, and most kids. He could hit them right square in the face and they never knew what was coming. Yeah, he was supposed to be pretty good, I just never saw it.
Yeah. So how were the kids growing up?
My kids?
Yeah.
Oh, very good. It was an adventure. I had, when I got married, I had never babysat in my life, never been around babies. Debbie was born 11 months later, and I had this tiny little baby. My mother came over and spent 2 weeks, and she really didn't want to go home. She didn't know if I could handle this, but I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was good. Debbie was a really good baby, and it was fun having them. It was fun having them. Very, very adventurous having children. Yeah, it was. I enjoyed them. I enjoyed their basketball, I enjoyed their sports, and, it's nice. And it's nice having them around now. Yeah, when I need them. It really is.
So how many grandkids are you up to?
18 grandchildren.
18 grandchildren, and you're working on some grades.
27 great-grandchildren.
27.
And 1 great-great-grandchild, with another one coming.
Well, that's pretty special.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
How spread out are they?
Well, from here to Des Moines, Iowa, to Texas. Where else? I guess
Kind of in that area, about like.
in Montana. Yeah. 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 And then I have 2 grandchildren that are probably in Mexico. We really don't know where they're at, but that's probably where they're at. Yeah. Yeah, it's all fun. I still have little grandchildren I take care of once in a while. And, they're fun. They are.
So how has the town and the community changed over the years?
Well, we don't visit and play cards as much as we used to. That used to be a big thing, to play cards. No more dances anymore like we used to have. So that has changed quite a bit. And people just seem like they're so busy. They don't have time to visit anymore or do the things that we did.
I kind of like your story when everybody was out living out in the country when you were first married. Around that Friday night was the night the country people come to Hinsdale to buy groceries in Hinsdale,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
That
it
was
was.
the night the stores
Mm.
stayed open late.
They did. Yeah, they stayed open. Everybody came in to buy groceries. Yeah, that was a big thing.
Kind of give you an opportunity to socialize as well.
Yeah, it did.
So that's changed a lot.
Yeah,
It's a little hard to get groceries in town now.
Yeah.
You get a gallon of milk, I guess.
yeah. And we played a lot of cards at the hall. A lot of cards we played. And they square danced a lot. That was another thing that was a big thing. Because we square danced when we were first married and we had to cross the creek. And one time we had to take the boat across.
Oh.
Middle of the night, we're floating down. I couldn't swim. We finally got to the shore.
You grew up on the lake and can't swim?
I know it. I almost drowned once. And I never learned to swim.
Well, even more reasons to stay off the river, right?
Yeah, I never learned to swim. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it is.
So when you were up north, would you guys go to dances at Genevieve?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah. What was it like there where you weren't in town, it was just a community hall out in the middle of nowhere?
It was, and everybody came, everybody had a good time, yeah.
Did you ever go to a dance in Teeny?
Yes, I've been to a dance at Teeny. Yeah.
So where would they do the dance in Teeny?
Where would they do it? They had a hall.
Oh, they had a hall? Okay. So I was gonna say, the only building still there is the school, and I don't see many people dancing in there.
Yeah, they had a hall, Teeny Hall, yeah. Yeah, we danced there, and we danced more Genevieve, a lot more Genevieve. Oh, that was a big thing. Everybody came to the Genevieve dances. In fact, Mike met his wife there.
Well, that was, yeah.
Yeah. And I can remember when the first dance we went to, there's bleachers like to sit on. And I can remember Arden Brady being underneath this bleacher, just his head sticking out, watching all these people. I can still see him under there. It's crazy.
I've heard that those dances at Genevieve got pretty wild sometimes.
Oh, there was never a dance without a fight, I'm sure. Never a dance without a fight.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I know that one time someone got part of their ear bit off, and I
Yeah.
just learned from Jim McCauley that he's pretty sure he knows someone threw a coyote in the window one time, and he's pretty sure it was his dad.
Oh, I never heard that.
He said his dad didn't admit to it, but he also didn't deny it.
Oh yeah, they were wild. Oh yeah, there was a fight every time.
Yeah.
There was. Yeah.
I've also read a few places that there might have been some moonshine going around in those circuits. So
Yeah. It was a little scary coming home because you never knew who was going to drive.
has there ever been much crime in the community, or has it always felt pretty safe?
Oh, we've always felt pretty safe. Our kids always went to school, and walked up the street and down, and yeah, it was. I thought. Never thought about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where did you do holidays when you were over here? Were you hosting most of the time, or your in-laws, or other relatives?
Mostly with the 14s. Yeah, mostly with the 14s. We went home once in a while. Not often, but we went to Bigfoot once in a while. Yeah. But it was mostly 14s and Agnes and Johnny and, yeah, the Rosendahls. And, yeah, it was just, yeah. And we were usually at Grandma's, yeah, or at Marion's, yeah.
Now, with that big a family, how big was that house?
Well, it wasn't very big, no.
No, it
It must
wasn't.
have been pretty
The
tight.
windows would be all steamed up. Of
Yeah.
course, there were people smoking, and
Oh, yeah, everybody smoked, yeah,
the windows were all steamed up. You couldn't see out.
yeah. You remember
Most of the kids were outside doing sledding or something, you
you
know.
remember that one year we were up there and you guys saw a rattlesnake up in the hill?
Well, that
At
was,
Christmas
that must have been
time.
4th of July or
That was
something.
at November, it was at
Oh.
Thanksgiving,
Yeah, Thanksgiving, yeah.
when the kids were out playing and they saw a rattlesnake up in the hill. Yeah,
Must have been a pretty warm November for that.
yeah, yeah, it was.
So what did a Christmas dinner usually look like?
Oh goodness, everything. Turkey, ham, dressing, salads, everything.
Oyster stew.
Pies, oh, oysters, yeah, oysters, yeah.
Grandma 14 made the best oyster stew.
Scalloped oysters,
Is that what it
definitely.
was? Yeah,
Yeah,
scalloped oysters, I should
scalloped
say, it was, it
oysters,
wasn't
yeah.
oyster stew.
Every meal had scalloped oysters, yeah, practically, every holiday, yes.
We guys have a pretty iconic barn up there. I can't imagine that you guys played in that quite a bit.
You know, I did when I was, we had a rope, Evan Bogan could, he was able to crawl up the rope, he could crawl up a rope like crazy and then tie one on up there, so another one on or something, and yeah, no, we spent a lot of time up in that barn.
They had a, hot, what do you call
A
it?
sauna,
Yeah, a
Grandpa had a
sauna.
sauna.
Did they?
Well, I
still-
remember it, I remember it, but we were awful little when that was
Yeah,
disposed of.
they had a sauna up there. And they, that steam and all that. I wasn't really into that. I wasn't enough fin in me. You know,
Did you do a lot of gardening?
we did, yes. Most everybody did then. Yeah, we had a big garden out there. Lloyd had a big garden. I wasn't that interested, but he really liked it. He really liked it, yeah. He had lots of corn, lots of potatoes, lots of garden. Yeah, we put the fence up so the deer wouldn't get in. And, yeah, we did have a big garden. And Marion had a big garden too, yes. And Agnes had a big garden, yeah. Everybody did,
Yeah.
yeah.
What was the biggest change you've had in your life?
The biggest change in my life,
Yeah.
when I lost Lloyd. Very different. Many times I don't know, for a month or two, that when I walked in the door, I didn't look at that chair. And then, I'll have to tell you the story, he had a cat. And this cat's name was Khaki. And it was really his cat, And I'd get up on the cupboard and clean the fan. And Lloyd said, someday you're gonna fall off that cupboard and clean the fan, or break your neck. So after he left, I got up there, and the cat, and this is no lie, that cat came and sat there. And it just like it was glaring at me. And I said, damn it, Khaki, somebody's gotta do it. It just sat right there and just glared at me. I couldn't believe it. And the cat always slept on my end of the bed. But after Lloyd died, it moved to the other side, which was, I don't know why, but that's what it did.
So what was Lloyd like? What was his personality?
Oh, he was fun. He was fun. When I first met him, the first time that we were really out, it was Dorothy and him and I sitting in the car in the main street. And his girlfriend that he was supposed to have had came walking down the street. And Lloyd said, duck down. I said, the hell with that. And I said, let me out of here. So down the street I ran, down by Nina Waters. I was running just mad. And Lloyd right behind me running. Oh, that was something, yeah. Oh yeah, I wasn't gonna duck down. But he was fun. Lloyd was a lot of fun. Yeah, he was. He really was a lot of fun. Yeah, he was a good husband, yeah. He worked hard. When I was, what did I do? I had back surgery, didn't I? And he decided he was gonna vacuum. So he's vacuuming the sweat just running off of him, and I laughed. I said, I do it all the time, Lloyd. This is what we do. Yeah, he was a good man. We had our differences, but he was fun. Yeah, he was. He was a good dad. Yeah, he was a really good dad. Yeah. And funny thing, when Debbie was born, he was down, we were in Glasgow, and he ran downtown after he was born, and he met Monty Denham's dad. And then he was talking about the baby, so Monty said to his dad, well, what did they name her? And he said, oh, God, he said, I don't know, but it sounded like Fibber McGee, and it was Debbie Marie. Yeah, Lloyd was fun. Yeah, he really was. He worked hard, believe me. Best day of his life is when we paid that mortgage off. We were free. Yeah, that was the best day of Lloyd's life. Really. Yeah, that was because his dad didn't think he'd ever amount to a hill of beans, so it was a good day.
His biological dad or his stepdad?
Oh, he's biological dad.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you have much of a relationship with the grandparents on your dad's dad?
We were
and
around
stepmom?
them, but not too much. No, not a lot.
No.
Johnny kind of claimed you, huh? And
Yeah, he was more so a grandpa than Harvey, as far as
Yeah,
spending
yeah.
time with them and stuff.
so what was it like working on the ranch with your dad growing up?
Oh, it was challenging. I had pigs when I pretty much supported myself on the place. I really never did get a wage.
No.
I just had pigs, and then I ended up kind of building a little cow herd and able to buy a little bit of grazing rights and kind of built myself up in the place, I guess.
Yeah.
Did any of your siblings really have any interest in the farming and ranching?
Oh, no, Lori does, yeah. She's very interested in it.
Yeah.
She really is. Chuck
Well,
wasn't.
Debbie was.
Yeah, Debbie was too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was, she was first married, they were on a ranch, and she had an interest in it too.
She did.
Chuck, I don't know, he come back and worked some in the, but I don't know, he wasn't as gung ho as I am, I don't think.
No, he wasn't.
Oh.
Yeah, so which one of them was the strict parent?
Oh, I don't know. This one beat me a lot more.
In fact, he told me one time if it was then like it is now, I'd be in jail.
No, I don't know about the strict. They made sure we knew right from wrong, I guess, but we weren't. We just didn't listen when we were little, fighting and arguing. And your dad was all in on that. He'd come to town a lot because your mother, or your Edith worked at the Tribune office, so Mark come over and spent quite a bit of time with us. So
Yeah.
he seen how much trouble we didn't listen or all that stuff.
Yeah. I had a little cord.
Doubled over extension cord.
Yeah, in the drawer.
Yeah, I don't think my dad got away with probably as much. At least not if she knew about it.
Yeah.
Well, they were good kids. They were good kids.
We were busy kids. We weren't just sitting in the house on video games. And there wasn't nothing on TV that worth watching except for half-hour cartoons at 3:30 maybe.
One time they were late getting home, and I said, Lloyd, you go find the kids. And he said, no. I said, no, I'm not going to go out there. So I ran out and I jumped in the pickup. You remember that? And I went around and I found them on the street. So they got in the pickup. And I came around this corner and Chuck said, Mom, did you know you had the horse trailer on behind? I said, I was so mad. Didn't even realize I had the horse trailer. I almost took this car. And they always said that if when I stood out and hollered, stood outside and hollered, they could hear me at the school.
So was most of your childhood
Till I was
house
14.
was in time?
Yeah, 14, till I was 14, we lived in town, yeah. So,
We moved out there in 76.
yeah. Chuck would have been 12 probably, and I was 14. So yeah, our, pretty much till I was a freshman, I think, then we moved out there.
So did you feel like that was a bit of a change, or were you guys doing enough on the ranch that it felt like you were
Oh,
just a ranch kid the whole time?
I was excited about it, I know that, about moving out there.
Yeah, I think we all were. Yeah,
I remember,
was happy.
I still remember when I was out at the farm there, we had that farm on the north side of the highway, and Chuck said, Mike, I'm not supposed to say anything because you get too excited and worry about it too much. His mom and dad are gonna move out to this Herster place, I think. But don't tell anybody I told you.
Were there many other people still living and working on out south of town at that point? Because you're just about all by yourself right now. There's not much of a community out
Just
south.
Jared and I out there as far as agriculture.
Yeah.
Yep.
But when you moved out there as a kid, were there a few more places
Well,
still?
I was, I guess I was a kid. I don't think I was a kid then. It didn't seem like it was that long ago. It's been over 30 years ago. There was a few more people. There was the Lowbirds and the Cookies, I guess, and about Bill Court. And of course, Jared's there. And Gary Clinton was out there then. Well, there was 5 or 6 families is all then, I guess. Not, not a, well, there's half of them were gone that were there, I guess. I say that, I don't know how many Finlanders there were out there, but they were mostly all east of that road, straight out as you go out. At least 50 families, maybe, this was even in the early 40s, maybe there was around 50 families of Finlanders or late 30s. And today, 100 years later, there's not one left living out there anyway. Macy Clint is a part Finlander, he's the only one that have any property that was a Finlander. But otherwise, they're all gone 100 years.
Yeah.
So how did the south bench differ from the north? I know.
I don't know. Not really. I think it gets a little more moisture than the North Country does. That part.
I don't even know how that got named. How did that get named the South Bench? They just
Well, just because of the hill, I guess, yeah.
named it the South.
But the, I live in a pretty nice area there. You get south of there, it turns into a whole different grazing. There's less and less grass. It's the Badland Grazing District, which it doesn't look that way the first 6-7 miles out of town here.
There's kind of a band from the top of the hill a ways back that
Yeah,
just kind
6-7
of peters
miles.
out.
And I think that's where 90% of all the homesteaders were too. There wasn't hardly anything past that out there, I don't think, too much,
I know Johnny Mogan talked about it a few times, and had some other people talk about it, that prior to the end of World War II, there were some wild horses running around back out there. And I know I heard at least one person say that during the Depression, some of the people actually resorted to eating some of the
Oh,
horses.
probably. They eat them in what France or still, they did anyway. But no, my dad got involved in helping chase wild horses when he was a kid with his dad and Frank Locke. And they gathered them and sold them for 2 cents a pound or something like that. Or they even bought horses too and trailed them. He trailed horses through the town of Scobie. They mostly went to Oswego with them or to Vandalia. When they come, like here, when they trail cows down from up north, they didn't come into Hinsdale with them. They went to Vandalia.
That had the stockyards to load them.
Yeah, and it was easier to get, to Vandalia than to try to come through here. I guess.
So I guess from when your dad started out and your grandpa, and how has ranching and farming changed over the years?
Well, I don't know. Just like you'd have never thought in them days to have, a parcel of land 10 miles north of town and one 10 miles south of town, and people didn't travel around like they do today, get in a vehicle and go everywhere, where they just didn't do that. It's one thing that's changed a lot.
Got to run a lot more acres, it seems.
Well, yeah, there's more acres too. Most people are running more acres, yes. Yep.
So who were some of the old time cattlemen back in the day? I know your dad sounds like he spent a lot of time with some of the old cattlemen.
Well, his grandfather, Frank Jones, and the Black Ranch was always the Kerr boys, Kerr brothers. They were on that Westland out over here up the Kerrs and
The Etchards.
well, Etchards weren't really up here. They were more south, you know. But Claire Duncan, and as far as ranches anyway, I guess. And most of them all had, he always said that the only ranches that never had sheep to start with was Kerrs and Frank Jones.
Oh, really?
And Kerrs had a lot of horses. I don't know if they did something with the government with them, but they ran a lot of horses. But blacks and whites and Richardson up there in that old Westland place, and I guess Claire Duncan must have too, and them guys, they pretty much all started out with sheep. Blacks.
Doris Morgan's brother, husband, her father, what was his name?
Charlie Rogers.
Charlie Rogers. And Melvin Johnson.
Oh yeah, well there was a lot of them up there. They eat more or less, you know, kind of farm too, but. No, that dad, they spent a lot of time horseback as kids. I guess.
So we end up with a lot of good years, and then we end up with a lot of dry years, kind of all in a row. And it seems like whenever we have enough dry years in a row, that drought kind of leads to people leaving.
It can, yeah.
What have you seen about those people leaving, and
Well,
what kind of makes a difference in them being able to stay?
I know one thing that's going on, good or bad, they don't get in the government themselves in issues, but in the, well, up till about mid-90s, there was no matter how bad the grass got or whatever, or how short the hay situation was, there was no government help for ranchers. But now we're seeing this, so, you know, back then, you know, you didn't get cattle payments like they've had the last 20 years. So you were on your own, and you know that's helped. I think helped people stay in business. But margins are getting tighter too.
Yeah, because when would have been the 80s probably would have been the worst stretch that you've seen probably?
Yeah, I think the 80s, yeah, the mid 80s, early 80 was a bad one too.
How many people just couldn't make it because of that?
Oh, I don't know. Well, the biggest thing was 17% interest too. That got a lot of people. That was an issue with people. Really, they were tough times then. Most of them just buckled down and made it. They just did, but there's a few that didn't.
Well, Lloyd worked at the base for quite a while. He worked at the base.
That was in the 60s. Well, he said he poured cement in every house up there.
Yeah, Lloyd did. He poured cement for every house up there. He was a cement foreman.
He must
And
have
then
been
carpenter. He did some carpenter work.
quite a handyman.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
They were pouring cement up there the day they were pouring cement for houses when whoever showed up, the government guy showed up and said they're closing the base. I guess they finished what they were doing or something, and they're done right there just like that. They had no idea, and it was just one day. They were still building houses when they quit, when they shut it down.
Yeah, they were.
I know that had a big impact on Glasgow. Did that seem to have much of an impact this far over, or just?
It sounded like there was 3 or 4 or 5 people here in Hinsdale that were working up there.
Yeah, there were. Yeah.
That were, that were supporting jobs there.
Yeah, they were. Pat and you worked there. There were.
Who all worked? I think Bill Cookie worked up there. I remember who all.
What were your grandparents like?
My grandparents?
Yeah. What kind of relationship did you have with them?
Well, like I say, Harvey and Leora, we didn't. I never stayed there in my life, but 14, we were there quite a fair amount. But they were older grandparents too. By the time they were fairly old by the time I come around.
Yeah.
So, because there's a lot of the kids like Nancy and them are 15 years older than me, and Debbie are 10 years.
And they were always good. Johnny Portine was a good grandfather.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he really was. And Mary.
He had some, well, that's where I first started running some cows. He had half a section that stuck out there, and the fence was not good, and he said, and he was 80, or, well, when I was in high school, he's close to 80 years old, 75, 80 years, and he said, Mike, if you'll keep that fence up, I'll let you run the cows in there. So that's where I started running about 20 head of cows there for keeping that fence up, because he just couldn't keep it up.
Yeah, we worked there, Lloyd worked there for, I can't remember how long, but he would go over at 5 in the morning and check everything.
Ride through the cows, and
He'd
they were
ride
supposed to be
through
over.
the cows.
They were living actually where I live,
Yeah.
in an old bunkhouse, and then Portines were living over there where my corral is.
Oh.
And he asked it.
He'd get over there and then he'd eat with Mary. They'd eat breakfast, Mary would cook breakfast. So one day he asked Lloyd if he couldn't start coming at 4 o'clock.
Or leave at 4:30, there's something
Yeah.
to get there for breakfast.
So Lloyd came home and he said, call your dad and see if he has a job for it. We're moving to Kalispell. And Lloyd worked in the woods then.
Really?
Yeah, he did. He worked in the woods with my dad. And when my dad left, Lloyd was the boss, and he liked it. I mean, he did. But one spring, the spring that Lori was born, they came down and they said, there's 8 feet of snow, we can no longer work. He said, Evelyn, I'm leaving for Hinsdale tomorrow, and he said, I will be getting a truck and we will be moving back over. I said, oh, really? Yep. He said, that's what I want to do. I said, yeah, spring's coming, you got to get back over there, don't you? So he came with his truck, and and he bought the house that we lived in. I never saw it. He bought that. And he came with his truck, and we loaded all of our stuff up and went back. The truck hardly had a furnace in it. We had Debbie just covered with blankets. We stopped at East Glacier. And we must have looked cold because Debbie and I went in there, and this woman said, are you walking? I said, no. I said, no, we have automobiles. Yeah. And that's how we got over there. He just decided we were coming and brought a truck and bought a house, and so he kind of had the upper hand of that. Yeah, he did. He liked it over there. We had a lot of good friends. You know, we had a lot of good friends over there. But when it was getting close to spring and there wasn't going to be anything to do, he was ready to come back home.
You need to come back and see some cows, huh?
Yeah, but I don't think he ever regretted being over there. No, I don't think he did. No, but he was ready. He was ready. Yeah. And I always loved it. I never missed the mountains. Never. No, I never did. No. I guess I was meant to be here.
Yeah, well, I know Lloyd had a lot of old stories. I think a lot of them are probably cattle up and down Rock Creek. Any of them stick out?
Oh, he loved to tell about chasing wild horses when he was a kid. That was more up in that deep creek, more east of there, you know. They were out on the prairies there. You know, things like that. I guess he loved to tell the story about when his grandfather owned the Hinsdale livestock up there, and on Willow Creek was the headquarters, but up the creek about 10 miles, or 8 miles, there's called a dugout. And they had an old guy by the name of Albert Chesterton that lived there, and at that time there wasn't many fences, so they would go out daylight riding and trying to make sure cows were home where they should be, kind of watching the fence where the property lines were. And then they would make sure that, water was far and few between. They'd make sure something was cycling and had a bull with them, or they'd go find a bull. And he lived with that guy for 8 weeks 6 weeks at the dugout when he was 8 years old, and rode with that guy every day. They tell about,
Yeah.
getting so thirsty that he, crying. But
At 8 years old.
8 years old. They
Wow.
turned him up there for 6 weeks.
That's some rough country up there.
He was always a cowboy.
At heart, even if he wasn't there, yeah.
Yeah, he was always a cowboy.
They would probably quit riding at noon, or something. They could hop, but then he said a lot of times, then they would go out and roll up old homesteaders' fences in the afternoon. Well, yeah, he learned to work when he was.
There wasn't anyone that Lloyd couldn't talk to. If we'd go to Billings, he'd be in the mall, waiting for me. He always found somebody to talk to. And all the times that we spent in Billings with his leg surgeries for his legs and everything, he never, he always had friends, everybody was his friend. The nurses loved him. Oh, he had a doctor that was just, boy, she just thought he was something, let me tell you. He was a good patient, very good patient, because he had lots of problems with his legs. We'd spent a lot of time in Billings. And Lloyd was not a big traveler, but once you got out of here, that he had a good time and loved it. And we went to Texas and visited and came around. When he got to the Montana line, he said, "Oh my God, we are in Montana." Yeah. He did. He had a good time. When he was gone, he had a good time. But he sure liked to be home. He really did. Of course, that was the only home he ever had. Really, wasn't it? Lloyd never had a home, really, except when he was young. And then his parents divorced, and then actually to have a home, he never had. Yeah. And when we bought, well, of course, he had this one here, but that ranch was his home. Yeah, that was his home. Yeah, he really enjoyed the ranch.
Mm.
That was his.
Well, any other good stories you can think of, Mike?
No, I'm not. Nothing specific, I guess.
I can't either think of anything.
Well, thank you guys for doing this. I'll let you go back out and visit with your family.
All right.
Well, thank you. Thank you.